there, it's Susan Hubbard, aka SHCosplay, and today I'm going to show you how I converted a foam pattern into a fabric one. Before I get into it, let me thank today's unofficial sponsor, Mom. Thank you, Mom, for your contribution of a few of the fabrics and other accessories that went into making this. You didn't realize it 2 years ago when you bought me this stuff that this is what would happen, but here we are. So thank you, Mom. Going on to the rest of the video. So we'll go into first the foam version I did. Picture. So I sized up on it according to the measurements given, and even though I did that, it was still a bit on the bulky side, kind of really hard for me to move my arms and maneuver around. And I think because I have a narrow back, this pattern does not come with a back mechanism to attach it to you. So what I improvised, it kind of left the front part a lot bigger than it should have been. So I did version 2. Down below, a little bit smaller. And as you can see, I was almost finished with it. Almost finished. Got to this part. Then it kind of occurred to me, I'm a bit clumsy. And I work with a lot of kids. So, what if one of them ran into me and then, broke the armor? That wouldn't look very good. What if I ran into something or one of my friends ran into me? There's a lot of opportunity for disaster in my life. So I knew I needed something a little more durable, a little bit more lasting. And my first thought was, I don't want to have to think about seam allowances. Don't want to have to sit there and figure out how to, make it work. And then I kind of thought, it rolled in my head a little bit. I'm like, no, I don't have to. I don't need to. Because this particular foam pattern is the first one I've ever used that utilized, I know it probably would be hard to see, a base layer. And then from there, you glue on top of it the little parts. Most of the ones I work with are just kind of connective and you call it a day. So I started rolling it in my brain, the 2 brain cells I've got. And I was like, I can do this. I have material. I'm not going to have to spend much more money in order to get this to where I want it. So let's take inventory of the materials I had on hand. My base layer is this denim. I have a huge bolt of this that was given to me by a friend. That's a whole different story of how I came into this and a bunch of other material, to be honest. So $0 was this cost. It's nice and sturdy, but still flexible that, you can move things around, but it's going to give you that reinforcement that you need. Throw it to the side. Then, I know it's a little tiny, it's just a scrap of the black I used, sponsored by Mom, and on Amazon. And it's got a white lining in the back in case, you're looking for this exact one. It's really cheap on Amazon. I think right now it actually went up to $8 a yard. But at the time, I think this was $6 or $7 a yard when my mom got it. So it was a pretty good deal. This silver I got at Joann's. It's probably the most sturdy, least holographic silver they had on hand. Everything else was super holographic, and the colors were definitely not what I wanted. So this is in their marine vinyl section. It retails for $33, I think. But of course I used coupons because I never ever pay full price at Joann's. And then this red I had on hand for one of my Captain Marvels. When I did the spandex one, I needed to make all the accessories. I bought a ton of this red, so I didn't have to buy this one at all. I had a ton. So I was able to do everything that I needed red in this. The only downside to this one, it's got a small bit of stretch, so as I'm sewing, it kind of does this little shifting in places, so I really had to watch that. What I used for rivets And I know it is hard to see. Hopefully that focuses. Yeah. Those are eyes for stuffed animals. And I got the size I think was 10 millimeter. And I'll have that when there's going to be a link to a document below with everything I could find currently on there. There's a few items I couldn't find because they were bought for me, like, you know, some of the fabric from my mom and the wig and stuff like that. So I figured I could take all of this and secure it onto that denim with a tight zigzag stitch. And I'm going to cut over to a close-up now of the interior and a little bit of demonstration of what I did. So here is my interior of the chest piece. And you can see that it's the inside out part of the denim. And right here is where I connected the pieces. And it was just a basic zigzag to keep it connected and hold it together while I put on these other pieces on top of the other side. To demonstrate a little bit better what I was talking about, as opposed to just seeing the finished result on the back of my chest piece, we're going to pretend that these were the two pieces. These two pieces were going to be part of that base layer. You know, you've got the shape that you want for underneath, and everything's all measured out. Now normally these would be the foam pieces, you know, and you would glue them together, but it's fabric. So instead of doing the glue, we're going to stitch it together. And what I do is I do my zigzag. I like to have as wide as possible to make sure I get it. And let me reset this right there. And I'm going to butt up these two pieces, and this is going to be similar to quilting, but because this is your underpiece, you don't have to worry about being pretty or anything. You just want the two pieces together. And going down the line. And now you have your two pieces together, and you can have your base to put the other pieces on top. Now we're going to pretend that this is the shape from a foam piece for the detail work. Just pretend. I know it's just this little scrap. And we're going to want to put it on that base layer we made. So what I prefer to do is determine whatever width I'm looking for. And in this case, I don't need it too wide. I can do something smaller. I'll go about halfway. About 3.5. My length, I'm actually going to, as you can see, it brings the zigzag closer together so it looks a little more together. So depending on how close I want that stitch to look, I will adjust that or not adjust that. And we're going to kind of show you how that looks. And I like to align everything so I can see it in the middle of here so I know where it's going. This material is a little tricky because there's a slight stretch to it, but it's what I had handy. And hopefully you can see how that's lined up right on top. It doesn't really have much of an overbleed into your base layer, and even if it did, you can bring in your next piece and do a zigzag along it so it looked nice. And I'll actually grab another piece of fabric to contrast it so you can see. And now we're going to pretend this upside down piece of denim scrap is a different piece from your pattern. And we're going to line it, butt it right up to where your stitching was before. There we go. And now it's all butted up, lined up, and it's got that nice little tight zigzag going on. And obviously you would change your colors to match the fabric you're putting on, if you know. So hopefully that kind of demonstrates a little bit better what I did. So every part that was included in that pattern bundle, I converted using that method. I think my out-of-pocket cost at this point now was about $17 for the silver material, and for the eyelets, which I believe were $6. Everything else I had on hand. So I'm going to leave, like I said, I'm going to leave a link to my Google document, and I tried to remember everything that I had, that I've gotten in past projects. The only things I couldn't find, again, were the red fabric I used for the cape and the wig, because my mom bought them for me. So I hope you found this helpful in some way. And if you make something using this method or have any other tips and tricks similar to it, please leave it in the comment section below. And I'll see you next time I have something to talk about. Bye. To the end. Hooray! And this is where I'm inserting the obligatory like, share, and subscribe. And if you don't mind, leave a comment below. And I will see you in the next video. Or you'll see me. You know what I mean.